everyone, I'm Shay Hess, and this is Hungry in Brooklyn. This week it's a game of heads or tails, and we've got both because we're making whole trout. First, we stop by our favorite sustainable seafood shop, The Lobster Place, to find out what to look for when buying the perfect fish. And then it's back over the bridge to Lodge for Cooking Trout 101. Finally, we head to the kitchen for a butterfly trout recipe that's impressive, easy, and delicious. All right, off to Chelsea Market, where our good friend Davis Heron of The Lobster Place shares his expertise on all things trout.
Here we have two varieties of brook trout. This is a white meat brook trout, and this is a red meat brook trout. They're both members of the salmon family.
What is the difference between the red meat and white meat trout?
The white meat trout is going to be very mild. It's going to have like a nut-like flavor to it. The red meat trout is going to be similar to an Arctic char, but a little bit more mild.
So these are farmed trout. What's the difference between a farmed trout and a wild trout?
Farmed trouts, number one, are going to be a little bit smaller. These two varieties are going to be a little bit more mild than a wild trout.
And are these farmed sustainably?
They are farmed sustainably. They're farmed in ridgeways or ponds off of the Snake River in Idaho. There's natural circulation by gravity, so there's little risk of pollution or disease. There's little risk of the fish escaping and affecting wild stocks in the river. And they have a low feed ratio of 1-to-1, which is basically the amount of dry food it takes to produce the amount of wet fish. So that means, 1 pound of protein per 1 pound of fish. It's pretty efficient when you look at Atlantic salmon farming. It's around 3 or 4-to-1. These are both butterfly. It's a whole fish that's been scaled and gutted, and then you can see you've got those two great fillets. There's still a little fat over here, which you might trim off, and the head and tails are still on.
Is this kind of good to go for me, or should I, ask my fishmonger to do anything else to this?
You can definitely stick that right in the oven or in the pan, or wherever you like to cook it. You can also ask your fishmonger to fillet it completely, so you'd separate it from this main spine bone. Or you could take the heads off and the tails off and keep it butterfly.
What's a good serving size for one person?
I typically think one person can do about a fish. If you're serving other stuff with it, perhaps one fillet per person. But this is going to come out to be a little over half a pound of filleted meat.
So when I come to the Lobster Place and I want to get the perfect trout, what do I look for?
If it's a whole fish, you want to look for a fish that's got nice clear eyes, the gills are nice and bright red, and if it has the guts in it, it's got a firm texture to it, so you don't want a soft fish. When you're looking at a butterfly fish, you want to make sure that the meat doesn't have any bruises on it. There's no discoloration. You can ask your fishmonger if you want to smell it. It shouldn't smell like fish. You want to look for fresh gills, and you want to look for nice bright eyes. And that's the key to a fresh fish.
Located in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Lodge serves up serious comfort food with an emphasis on locally sourced and sustainable ingredients. Chef Jesse Vasquez is here to teach us how to take on trout. So should the home cook be scared of trout? I mean, it's a whole fish. It could seem a little intimidating.
No, absolutely not. Trout is really easy to cook at home. You could pan fry it. You could bake. I mean, you could pretty much cook it really any way. And you could prepare it on a campfire if you wanted to.
And what's your favorite way to prepare it?
We just stuff them with lemon and rosemary, and then we grill it and just keep it real simple.
So I think that people might be a little intimidated by the whole fishness of the trout.
It's more traditionally served, as a whole fish, on the plate, which is kind of cool about trout. You don't see that in a lot of other fish.
And do you eat all of it?
Yeah, I mean...
Do you eat the skin and stuff too?
Oh yeah, I love the skin.
Yeah?
That's one of my favorite parts.
Really? The trout skin?
Yeah, especially if you grill it. You get it a little bit charred on the outside, nice and crispy.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part. So basically, get a whole trout. It'll come gutted. Slice some lemon. Open this guy up. Place them in there. Some rosemary. You don't really have to chop it or anything. You just want the flavor, Close it back up. Put a little olive oil on it. It'll help it not stick so much. Put a little bit of salt on there. Rub it in. No more than 5 minutes on each side. Probably not even that. The fillets on it are real thin, so you really don't have to worry too much about undercooking it. Roll this guy over.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
So you get the nice grill marks on it. The lemons are getting kind of charred, getting all that flavor.
Beautiful. It looks awesome.
Yeah, there it is. Whole trout. Easy.
Jesse's grilled white meat brook trout was pretty awesome, so we're going to incorporate those flavors into our delicious oven-roasted red meat brook trout. So the first thing I need to do is make a garlic and rosemary paste. Just give it a rough chop because it's going to be pulverized in the end anyway. Next, a generous pinch of coarse salt and a crack of fresh black pepper. Now I'm going to take my mortar and pestle and really go to town on this. The salt helps really break up the garlic, which is why you want to use a coarse salt. And what this will also do is make it a little bit more mild. It won't be like you're biting into a chunk of garlic. So once that's turned into a paste, I'm going to take a sprig of rosemary, remove the leaves, give it a little chop to start it off. We're going to add this right to the mortar and pestle and do the same thing. So once this has all been incorporated, we're going to thin out the paste with just about a teaspoon or so of lemon juice and a drizzle of olive oil. You're looking for the consistency of a really thick marinade. So I have a 1 pound red meat brook trout here that I've had cleaned, gutted, and butterflied. So the first thing I need to do is cover the outside with olive oil. The olive oil will help to keep it from sticking. Also going to add just a little bit of salt to flavor the outside in case you care to eat the skin. Okay, and now for the fun part. We're gonna take our marinade and rub it on the inside. Not only does it look beautiful, but it's gonna add amazing flavor. All right, finishing touch, we're just gonna stuff him with a little bit of lemon. All right, close him back up. And this guy's all ready to pop into a 450-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes or until the flesh is opaque and really flaky. Perfect. All right, moment of truth. It's so good. It has a really mild garlic flavor and the lemon and rosemary really pop. It's absolutely delicious and super elegant. For this recipe and more, visit hungryinbrooklyn.com.